recently redid the front of Town Pump because there's a brand new zip trip right there and a new zip trip across the highway. So Town Pump's trying to compete with that. Tore out a bunch of gas tanks, underground gas tanks that they used to have there. They were having problems, and I think they'll eventually tear that out. Waiting for the bus to show up to go to Billings. Peace. Good evening, YouTuber subscribers and friends alike. This full body mirror is not doing me any justice. I need to lose me some weight. Anyway, see if I can do this. This is how I've decided to start doing concealed carry. I'm going to the CCW class tomorrow to get the signature certification so I can bring that paperwork back up to Mouse City to take it to the Custer County Sheriff's Office to pay them another $50 tip to get my permit. Montana is a constitutional carry state, so they do not require a concealed weapons permit any longer. It was recently changed in a year ago or 2 years ago, something like that, but pretty recently. So you can carry in the state of Montana now, whether or not you have a permit, and no big deal. And if I was staying right in here in Montana, I would just do that because I wouldn't have a problem with it. I'm completely legal with it right now, as is, without the permit and without the class. Because good old Montana went back to the way it should be, really, in my opinion. I'm okay with taking a basic course to have to do to get the permit. This course is going to be 4 hours and then like hour or two at an outdoor range to certify with the use of the gun for safety purposes, that you know what you're doing with the gun, I guess. And all of that ain't a bad thing. I'm okay with doing all of that. Montana only requires 2 hours worth of classroom to actually get your permit, and that's the way it was before when they required the permit. Nothing has changed on that except for the state went to constitutional carry and it's not required to have a permit now. At first, when I went to sign up for this class, it was a 2-hour class with a guy who potentially could have went to Miles City. I'm in Billings, Montana. He's with a guy who potentially could have went there if we'd have found enough people to go with. Or then he couldn't do it, and USCCA is his sponsor, and they told him that they pretty much are combining the classes together here in Billings, and so that's what he passed on to me, and to sign up at where the class I signed up at. And so I did, and that was a guy, and then the instructor he passed me on to when they're combining the classes was a female instructor, and she said, don't bring a gun to class, and it's just classroom instruction, and she'll sign off on the thing and go. And then a couple days later, that instructor backed out, or they didn't get enough people or something, I'm not sure. And now I have a different instructor at a different location here and still in Billings, and he is 4 hours worth of classroom training and on everything you need to know about self-defense and how guns work and all that stuff, and then hour or two at the range, depending on how many people we have signed up, which probably won't be that many now that they're not requiring a permit to carry concealed. Back in the day when they were requiring a permit, you probably had a pretty good sized class, but now that it's optional, only people who are traveling out of Montana really necessarily need to do it or care to do it. I mean, from a legal standpoint, it would look better if you had to use your gun in Montana, but you're not required to have it nowadays. And for a few years here, it'll be an iffy question until people are used to it in the state of Montana in terms of juries and whatnot. But this is how I decided. Probably going to get a full cotton shirt that goes down further. I'm not a big fan of wearing overcoat. I'm not over shirts. I've never been a big fan of it. My dad used to wear Western shirts that were just this shirt, not the shirt underneath, and blue Wrangler Western jeans and stuff like that, and this kind of material covered shirt with the snap off. And he said one day I'll find a reason to do that, and lo and behold, he'd be laughing at me right now saying, I told you one day you'll find a reason. But anyway, my food for DoorDash is about to get here, so I'll get you this video out after I eat. Peace. So where I continued off at before my DoorDash so rudely interrupted me, actually that was my fault. this is what they'll normally look like, give or take. This folding mirror is not doing me any justice, but anyway, I was trying to show where you see the gun. I don't know if I can see the back or not, probably not. But anyway, so, I'm wearing two different kinds of clothing, one that you should wear and one that you shouldn't, on purpose, to be able to show you the difference. If you want to find cover-up material, you want something that distracts the eyes with a couple different colors. You want a shirt that's made of thicker kind of cotton, so that it will drape over down itself. It tends to go flat instead of protruding and making the shape of a gun. But my inside shirt should be more full cotton, because you can see as it goes around my stomach like so. You can see how it forms itself. You can even see my nipple right there if you really wanted to look. Not that you wanted to see man nipple today, but I'm just pointing it out that anything you put underneath this shirt, since it's a thinner microfiber summer tannic material that has holes in it, you can see as I hold the sun up, you can see it's that type of thin material shirt you can get from Walmart, which I love wearing in the summertime. I'm not going to be able to do as often anymore because of my change in position on carrying a gun. If I wasn't carrying a gun, yeah, no big deal. I'd be in this shirt all the time. This t-shirt I'm talking about. But it's more body forming, body shaping, and will show off printing. This shirt, however, will not, because it's standalone and drapes down. It's not forming into my stomach. But you'd have, if I had wore a full cotton shirt, it would do the same as my colored shirt is doing, and would form down and go over the gun. It would not imprint around the gun. So you can kind of see it. Right there is what I'm talking about. Where, depending on how you move, you can start to see the shape in this shirt. If you had a full cotton shirt, it would just go flat. But there, for reason purposes, I'm carrying a Glock 30 short frame, which is the medium compact version of a Glock 21, which is the full size is the Glock 21, which is 45 ACP, that has 13 rounds, I believe, if I remember right, from back in the day. And this Glock 30 short frame that I decided to start wearing for concealed carry is a 10-round mag. And I did 10-round mag on purpose so that I'm California compliant and stuff like that, because I still, in summertime, in the wintertime, I should say, I go through Texas to California on trucks a lot. And so I wanted to be California compliant as much as possible, because I can, if anything's going to go down, it'll go down in California. Hate to say it, but it's a fact, in my opinion. But anyway, this position itself, I found that just behind the hip bone, just like the people in the YouTube videos have said, kind of just behind your hip bone is a better spot to put it at, like half your butt cheek or something, because you put it up here, it really starts to bother you. Obviously I'm going to buy a longer shirt eventually. This I'm not impressed with this mirror at all. Need to lose some weight. But anyway, because of my extra muffin top here, I could do appendix very well, and my fat alone would hide the rest of the grip. Standing position from here, as soon as when you first put the gun on, you can feel the metal with the very basic. This is the holster that I have is a very basic trigger guard holster. It doesn't have anything but covers the trigger itself. I wanted to go as minimalist as possible when I'm on the belt, and I'm not going to carry it on the belt very often, but if I do have to carry it through rough areas, I want to have it on the belt through specific areas. I could carry appendix very well because of my body shape and the fact that if I get a longer t-shirt and whatnot, I'd only need a t-shirt because it would go up over the grip right there because of my fat belly body shape. If I wanted to carry appendix, I'm at 830 roughly, I think, because this is the left hand side. This is flipped around in the mirror. It looks like I'm right, but I'm left-handed. My phone is in my right hand right now. The mirror, of course, is reflecting. So this is actually right hand, this is actually left hand. And so I carry at 8:30, 9 o'clock, probably about 8:30. So the added advantage to being a left-hander is people who are looking for a gun on the belt usually are looking on this side because majority of the world is right-handed. So I do have that advantage of being able to have it in a spot where they're not necessarily looking forward to begin with. But in the winter time and any time that there's colder weather, I'm going to be carrying on a chest pocket on this side right now in my Scotty vest, and then eventually when I find a better concealed carry jacket made specifically for that, that's at the inside pocket, I'll be carrying on the inside. But on my Scotty vest, I've said it a time or two in the video that I made a cardboard cut out of a tablet shape because it will imprint a little on the Scotty vest material because it's a thin material like this kind of on the outside. So if it does imprint, I want it to show the shape of a tablet, not the shape of a gun. And then I want to put the gun there because I'll be sleeping at airports at night and whatnot. And if you know you have it on your, one thing it'd be uncomfortable as you roll around down there in the belt, and two, I want it where people would have to fill me up to find it as I'm sleeping. That'll be my primary carry. It'll be the chest pocket. I mean, eventually I might have a pocket, a secondary gun, about what they call a backup gun, for your non-dominant hand. So my primary is left-hand side or chest pocket. Secondary or backup pistol, if I were to get a backup revolver, it would be a 9mm LCR snub nose double action that doesn't have a protruding hammer. I would be putting that in this, probably in this pocket, would be my guess, or in the coat pocket on the right hand side. This looks like left hand again, the mirror is flipping things around, but this is actually my right side that you're looking at. And so the idea being, if you're having problems with this gun or somebody gets this hand with your gun wrapped up, you have another go-to that you can take out of the pocket, boom boom boom, handle your business that way, up close and personal, which is what revolvers are made for anyway. It's up close and personal. There are some competition revolvers with the longer and further out you shoot with a revolver, and the longer barrel you have to make it accurate. So a little snub nose is only good for 7 to 10 yards or something. I mean, if you're really watching what you can do and with it, you can maybe get up to 25 yards out with a snub nose revolver because they're made for up close personal in pocket action. And so that's next on my list down the line after I get all the class done and everything, is probably to buy a backup revolver. But the other option with the revolver is you can walk around with a little stub nose in the pocket of your gun, point it down in a safe direction outside of the holster and everything, because it's got an 8-pound trigger. So it's less likely that your pocket material would make that trigger move, versus this here has a 5.5 or 5.5 pound trigger, and your teeny tiny revolver would have an 8-pound trigger, so almost double for the size of it, which make them a perfect pocket gun. I don't promote carrying a gun outside of the holster unless your hand is specifically on it and you're maintaining it. Do not ever stick a gun in your pocket and leave it there with no holster guarding the trigger for gun safety wise. The option I'm talking about, I would have my hand on it all the time, and the idea is hand on it, pointing down for the revolver, walk through rough place, somebody comes up at me, does something, I can easily go like this, still in the pocket even, and surprise them with that if I had to get myself out of a situation. The problem with that is the legality later on of trying to justify why you're walking around ready to do that, because people are going to say you walked out purposely looking to shoot somebody without them even knowing. But it is a pocket carry option that you can do, but mostly I'd be using the revolver's backup option, close quarters backup option, because the problem with a polymer gun like I have is, even if you slightly move the slide when you have it drawn out, if you have slightly move the slide out, it out of battery, you can't use it anymore. So up close and personal, if the person attacking you knows this, all they have to do is push that slide back and then it's non-operational. That is the downside to having a regular polymer pistol like that versus like a revolver. And so I think the two would complement each other. You know, the revolver would pick up the weakness from the polymer pistol you're carrying, and the polymer pistol would shoot further than the revolver would, so they complement each other in my opinion. And the idea is practice the backup revolver with my non-dominant hand on the right side, And that's why I'd also be going with 9mm because of the less recoil. So it's easier to manage one-handed. And then of course I had 45 ACP on my primary, because most of the time you'll be using, well, in a lot of situations you'll be using two hands. You get behind cover, get posted up, get the right stance, use two hands, and boom. If you can, I mean, not all situations are like that, but if you can do it, you can do it. Unrelated to that subject, that towel that's on the floor this morning, I'm at the Econo Lodge in Billings, Montana overnight. I came down here earlier on the bus the night before, because if I had come the day of, I would have got off the bus at 1, would have got here at 2 in the morning, would have had class at 9 o'clock in the morning. And so I decided to stay a day ahead of time. So I paid for the revenue night last night, and then I'm going to do point stay on choice, so to get the free points I've gathered up to stay here tonight on 2 different reservations. Because of that, I was technically checking out. And this morning, the housekeeper, I had the towel next to the door there, mostly to kind of muffle the sound, because there was a dog down the corridor that I think they're checking out. But I think that's who's packing up now. But I wanted to muffle the sound once I heard him barking. I think that's who that is. And anyway, it wasn't for that purpose, but I put it against the door for that. Come to find out this morning that they can override the electric deadbolt, with their housekeeping key, and somebody opened the door at the same time that my neighbor across the hall must be coming out with his dog, and bark, so it was pretty loud. It made me think there was a guest coming into my room, like it was double checked in or whatever, because I heard the door open. Wasn't sure if it was my hotel or not, my room or not, and then I heard the dog louder than you'd hear him out in the hallway. So that woke me up at 10 o'clock, but I had 6 hours of sleep at least. Not a big deal, but I did go down there and ask them what exactly is the point of a deadbolt if your housekeeping can get right by it. But they gave me a D&D, a do not disturb sign, that I did not have in this room, which I should have probably asked about last night. And I put up in the keyhole, I guess, to try to tell them I'm still here, I guess. But anyway, not a big deal, just saying, if you happen to be going to the Econo Lodge in Billings, Montana, it's a nice beds. I recommend the hotel to stay at. Just be aware that if you plan on doing anything nefarious, which I'm not, I'm just waiting for my class tomorrow and sleeping and catching up on the rest, pretty much. And just chilling for a day. But if you're planning on doing anything bad, just know that they can go right past the deadbolt. Which, I mean, it's their prerogative, I guess. But anyway, back to the video that I was trying to make to begin with before I started ranting about how uncomfortable I can feel. There you have the two. So, inside shirt would not be recommended. I'd use full cotton instead of this, because this, as you can see, if I get it at a different angle and whatnot, it's hard to see a little bit. See, you can see it. So I would have a full cotton shirt, and I will have when I start doing it on the road. Secondary to that, you have the second cover. If it's cool enough outside to be able to wear the second cover, and I can always roll the sleeves up or find a different outlet to do it at, buy a short sleeve shirt that's this material. The problem with getting this thick of material is they usually also make it long sleeve, but you can roll them up. So that's the gist of it. This is the little bit I brought with me. I got 3 pairs of glasses. I got my brand new headphones for hearing protection for the range, because I gotta go to the range. I was not going to buy these. I was just gonna go with basic earplugs for the range, for very lightweight, unless they had Bluetooth. And if this did not have Bluetooth, I was not gonna pack it around, because I might go to range once a month, maybe to help certify for myself and keep the training up and whatnot. But everything that I carry, especially anything that's got a little bit of weight to it, which this does, has to have at least 2 purposes in my bag, or it's not worth my time to carry it. And thus, heavy-duty construction hearing protection headphones from Ace Hardware that are rated also for shooting, that have a built-in AM/FM radio, and then they have Bluetooth. So I can at least use them on the bus and stuff, and I figure hearing protection headphones wouldn't be a bad thing on the bus, and I tried it again last night a little bit on the bus, and it didn't have any loud, of course it didn't have any loud babies or any real loud other guests on the bus last night, other passengers. While I wanted to test my earphones out, not that I wanted to have that anyway, but now that if I ever do have any loud babies on board the bus or whatever, I at least could put the loud headphones on, noise canceling headphones on, and not have to hear them as much. And it does make a hell of a difference on that. Those earphones I was trying on the other day. Mutes a lot of sound out. But anyway, whether they're on or just using them for the headphone or the what, surround sound, of course, for the music too, because they mute the other outside sounds out. That's the latest of the gist that I've got, I think. Just wanted to show you kind of things I picked up on from videos, and then from a long time ago I knew that information back in the day. But thicker material, so that it just rides straight down instead of forming a shape. And then you want eye distracting material, which is different colors. Anytime you can put a pattern on a shirt, preferably like flannel or whatnot, it keeps the eyes from forming a shape. It'd be really hard to see a gun shape even if this did print, because of the material being different colors. There and there. 511 pants does start to give it away that you could be carrying for the people who know about it. This pants has this mag holder, these two mag holders, that mag holder, those two other mag holders. Technically I could carry about 8 magazines. Only if I wanted to go to war or something, but I don't need that. Speaking of, speed loader. These are nice to have nowadays. Back in the day when I had the service duty weapon, I didn't have one of these, but the weapon I had was, of course, the department weapon, so that's been around for a while. So the springs weren't used, but they were, how would you say that? I guess well used, but not worn out. These ones, of course, are brand new because they go with the brand new gun. So there's a difference in what I used to carry, but the speed loader definitely comes in handy for loading this because it's really fun, but I'm sure the springs will loosen up after I shoot it in a while. So I'm happy to go to the class that does have the range anyway, because it'll have forced me to go to the range and certify for my own well-being, being that it's been 22 years since I carried last time. Just thought I'd keep showing you that. I guess I don't know. I'm not very impressed with that mirror. I'm sure people are going to be laughing at me at this video, but that's half the fun, is to make people laugh in this world. I used to have a Facebook that had the comment farts, and that's something I learned from a art distribution. I can't remember, some kind of a festival thingy went by somewhere in like Alabama or somewhere. I can't remember, and I don't even know what it was from, but the phrase or the acronym for farts was something about making people smile. I can't remember what the thing was it for. And of course I screwed it up. I thought about it. But anyway, you put the initials farts on my Facebook profile bio. I don't have Facebook anymore because Facebook apparently banned me at the moment. I don't know why. I think I got hacked. But even anytime I do facial recognition for a new Facebook, I get 20 minutes in and then they disconnect it anyway. So I don't know. I don't think I'll ever have Facebook again, at least for 6 months or something. But anyway, I had that definition on there, and the idea was something about making people smile. It completely ruined what I was going to say with Facebook, because now I can't think of it. I'm having a major brain fart, speaking of. But it was something about making people smile. What's the acronym for it? Can't think of it now. Of course, I'll think of it after I get the video, probably 6 hours from now, and I'm just randomly, it'll pop up in my head, and I'll be like, what the hell? But anyway. Just want to show you one of the many ways. I would be okay with carrying 8:30, 9 o'clock with the only one in the chamber here. That wouldn't bother me. I would not carry appendix in the chamber personally, because you have more of a chance of having to deal with a traffic stop or cops stopping you on the sidewalk in sketchy places than you do of somebody jumping you and you having to pull from that area, in my opinion. And the problem with that is the cops obviously don't want you to go grab your stuff yourself, so they're going to come here. Not that I care about getting filled up too much. That's not what I'm talking about. It's the fact that they go to pull this out and they don't know what they're doing. It would provide me with a nice free sec change, or if it missed that, it would get the femoral artery or whatever, and you bleed out in minutes. Either way, not a thing that I want to do. Now, I could control this myself and watch what I'm doing, blah, 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 and I've done it before. But I just know from back in the day, being a cop, that I would not trust all cops out there who want to disarm you, because they're going to be looking at your hands and trying to keep an eye on you, obviously, as they're paranoid about your gun and blah, blah, blah. It's just a bad combination to allow, because I'd asked them to take the gun out with the trigger guard holster on and everything, instead of just pulling it out. But even still, I don't want to risk that appendix. I'll carry appendix not in the chamber, and then if I need it, I can quick draw and still rack the slide and go at it. Occasionally I might carry appendix because that is a better spot for my body type. But 830 also works pretty well here too. I'm just pacing back and forth for something to do. My feet are kind of tingling. But 830 is what I would call that, because 9 o'clock's more this direction. This is more of an 830 cant. My body type flops over top of it. As you can see, I don't have anything loaded right now either. By the way, it's an empty gun. The only 2 mags I have are there. But here I wouldn't mind carrying loaded, because you might get an artery that way, but mostly you'll just blow away fat if you had to do that, or if you had to an accidental discharge, or if a cop had to remove it from that position. I don't find that as hard if something went off as life-threatening, and definitely as not sex change as appendix. I like appendix for the faster draw, but personally I would not carry appendix with one in the chamber, and I do not promote that for anybody else to do that, for that simple reason that you're more likely to have a traffic stop or have some cop stop you on the street than you are to get jumped to the point where you have half a second to react and shoot somebody. I mean, if you're paying attention, it all comes down to situational awareness, and the majority of the time carrying a gun is all about situational awareness. 80% of it is you watching other people. And if you have a gun, especially a loaded gun on you, you should be doing your best to pay attention to everybody, because everywhere you go, you are introducing that live firearm into a situation. So it's up to you to maintain and retain that firearm, and it's up to you, because of that, to be paying attention to what you're doing, or I should say what other people are doing or not doing around you. And just as a general rule, I remember the cops' rule about the 21-foot rule. If somebody come running at you with a knife or another different object that's not a gun, you have roughly 21 feet. Most cops could barely get a shot off while backing up, and somebody's running at them 21 feet with a diddly weapon like a knife or a bat or whatever. So I just remember the 21-foot rule and apply that to everybody, whether they have a gun or bat or what. Anybody that gets within 21 feet of me while I'm carrying an armed gun, when I'm armed with a gun, and especially now down the line when I have 2 guns, I'm going to be paying attention to. And you can tell by their body language. They fidget around, they look for cameras, they look around to see how many people are watching them, look around to see how many people are looking at their target. You can see, I mean, you can pretty much, the guy is telegraphing what he's going to do. I mean, I was on a subway once, and a black guy was in there with an old lady and myself. We were the only 3 in the subway car. I was in the middle of the car, kind of. Old lady was closer to the door. Black guy first went by me because he's trying to thinking about getting my bag, because it's basically a backpack size. And then I made it abundantly clear that I knew exactly what he was planning on doing. I didn't say nothing, but I gave him, the mean bug look, and grabbed my bag and held it and everything, and let him know that I know for a fact that he's planning on doing something, just because of his body language, the way he was going back and forth, and you can tell when people are nervous and they're thinking about stuff. And that was what was going on there. And I tried to get the old lady's attention. She looked at me once and shrugged me off. So I was like, what's going to happen is going to happen, I guess, because I'm not going to interfere and lose my stuff over this old lady that's too naive to know better. Sure enough, just as the subway doors are closing, that guy whacked her in the head, grabbed her purse, and ran out the door and timed it so that the doors would close and lock her in there so the train would leave, and he'd be free with her stuff, with her purse or whatever. Took her purse. And then she seemed totally shocked. And then after the fact, I said, I tried to warn you, but I didn't want to start something right there on the train, on the subway, because the guy could be armed, and I wasn't. I did not want to just start calling the guy out, even though I knew what was going to... I had a pretty good feeling what was going to happen. I could have called the guy out. It might have separated the deal, and he might have said, oh, fuck you, and left or something. Or he might have pulled a gun and got mad at me. Who knows what would have happened. Had to fight the guy off for doing it. So you have to watch for my own personal safety, too. I hate to say it. Other people online will say, why didn't you defend that old lady? Blah, 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 blah. Well, I did what I could do. but I wasn't gonna put my own safety and my own belongings at risk for some old lady that's too naive to notice what the hell's going on. And it all came down to situational awareness. She was not aware of her situation. I was ahead of it. I knew what could happen. She should have known what could happen on one of those inner city subways, but didn't. That's just one of many examples I have of situational awareness, and a lot of it comes from staying at, spending a lot of time in bus stations and train stations, and at the airport and stuff like that. It's more so happens in ghetto-style places like your subway and your city bus stations and stuff like that, but it can still happen at like Greyhound and whatnot. There's some sketchy Greyhounds. But this video is getting pretty long. I just thought I would go over some of the basics before class, and then I'll continue this video clip, or maybe the part 2 of this video, with what all happened after class. Maybe I'll have a target to bring home. I don't know yet if they're gonna do that, and I can see. I don't really want a video while I'm there. I could have brought the action camera to do it while I was there, but mostly it would distract me from paying attention to what I should be paying attention to there too. And there'll be a lot of people there that may or may not, or should or should not have a gun, because obviously they're there for the same purpose as I am, to be refreshed and learn about, the gun basic rules and all that jazz. I'm doing this as more of a refresher. Other people are probably doing it as first time ever. So because of that, I want to be paying attention to my surroundings. I definitely want to be paying attention to my surroundings in a room full of people. Say there's like 10 people, and probably at least 8 of the 10, I would guess, will be carrying a gun, even though it's probably the first day carrying a gun. Would be my guess, or the first week or whatever. So I want to be paying attention to that more than anything. But I might make a part 2 video after class, show the bus going back to Miles City, because after class I gotta wait all day long somewhere in Billings, probably up by the library or something. I haven't decided. And then take the bus at 4 in the morning back to Miles City, and then eventually I'll pay the Custer County Sheriff's Office to get my permit after I get the certification from here in Billings. Like and subscribe, leave a comment. Catch you on the piece. On the flip. Peace. Oops, I forgot. When I sat down, I realized I forgot I said something, or forgot to say something. In a sit-down position, the gun pinches me right here. So I do not like it all that often in a sitting position. And like I say, in the wintertime, I'm going to have it up on the chest anyway, on this side. So that sitting or standing, it's just the gun itself, and it's in the same exact position it always is. And it's not pinching me or nothing, because it's kind of on body, but off body when you have it in a coat. But here, I'm okay as long as I don't lean in this direction, but the gun is kind of pointing into me. I would guess that appendix would be worse than that, because of my gut these days. So this would be, and mostly I'd only be using belt carry while I'm standing, walking from place to place. The example would be from a hotel to a lift, to the Greyhound, or from the hotel walking across to like the city bus stop, getting on the city bus, going to where the bus stop stops at, and then getting off to where go do whatever I want to going to eat or picking up a truck or whatever. I would be going from standing to sitting and stuff like that. I'll have to deal with that during that time frame. But again, if it's colder weather, I'm going to have it in the jacket to avoid all that discomfort of carrying. And then the added plus of doing it in the jacket is people who are looking for a gun. Like you go out there and buy a red Buick LeSabre or something. I don't know if they make them these days, but let's say red Honda Civic, something like that. Once you buy that red Honda Civic, you start to see Honda Civics everywhere. It's the same psychological effect with people carrying a gun. Once you buy a gun, you start to see everybody else printing who's all carrying a gun and not and whatever, because you're looking for it. Your brain is subconsciously looking, and those people are going to be looking on your belt, and more so they're going to be looking on your right hand side of your belt, because of right-hander versus left-hander, but they're still going to be looking anywhere along there. And so if you have it up here, and especially hidden behind a tablet, I'll be hiding the gun from people who know to look. So the idea is a little bit deeper concealment. You have basic concealment where you're hiding from the general public with a concerned Karen that'll be like, oh my god, the guy's armed, blah blah blah. And then you have deeper concealment where you're hiding it from your fellow carriers. That's the general gist of it. But I just wanted to include that because when I sat down, I realized the gun does stick into you a little. I can show you here in a second. I'm still getting used to the clip. I gotta loosen the clip up a little. Gun, it's been in many videos so far, probably 6 or 7 videos now. Unloaded, in case YouTube's wondering. Already cleared and unloaded. Didn't have anything in it. Never loaded anything in it yet, quite yet. Today anyway, or nothing. Really, really basic holster with just the trigger guard is what I decided to go for the belt, because it will print the least. The downside to this is you don't have the nice leather that would go against your skin and it would hide the cold metal. But once the metal warms up, like I found out this morning, once the metal, mostly from the slide, warms up, this is plastic, hard plastic, polymer plastic on the grip, but your slide is metal and it's a little cold. But it warms up to your body in 10 minutes. After you get past that, then it doesn't feel funny, but it does kind of feel like somewhat of a melted ice pad against your skin for a while till you warm that slide up. So for the first 10 minutes that you carry, it's a little, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but you know it's there. After that, you only really know it's there when you're sitting and the grip part of the gun pinches into you. But I wanted to keep it as minimal and lightweight as possible on the belt, because I don't like the feeling of the belt going zigzaggy this way and that way, because I could go show you in the mirror, but I don't have much of a butt anymore since my 20s. My butt has kind of disappeared and all my fat went to my gut, I guess. It's a genetic thing on my family side. All the males on my side didn't have much of a butt. But anyway, the point behind that being, since I don't have much of a butt, I'm used to my belt. Unless you get the belt tight, your pants try to fall down behind you and give you a plumber's crack and all that crap like that, because you don't have the booty to keep it up. So I'm used to my pants doing that from behind, and now with the gun weight on the one side, now I'm used to the pants. I'm gonna get used to the pants going like that from the side, and I can see why a lot of people carry their extra mag on this side, opposite of the gun, or they carry a flashlight or a knife or all three or whatever on the other side to kind of even the weight out. It doesn't weigh that much. I mean, it obviously weighs more when you put the rounds in it, and the magazine in it, and all that, but it weighs enough so that you know it's there. I mean, it's essentially like carrying a weird shaped brick around with you. But so you definitely know it's there. But that's what you want, is a gun that weighs enough, at least, that you know it's there. So I didn't get no micro-sized pocket gun that's only half this size, because I wanted to make sure it's there all the time, whether you touch it or not. Because the idea of walking around concealed is you don't want to be touching it all the time and pointing at it basically to people. You just want to be able to walk around and feel it there, which this allows to happen, and it's got a nice thick clip on it. My other one is a full holster, but that's because I wanted it to be much harder to pull out than this. Obviously, you want this to be fast pulling out so that you can use it from the belt, fast draw out, and do your business, and be able to put it back and whatnot. So I wanted it as minimal as possible for the fast draw. That's the whole point of putting it on the belt, would be for the fast draw. Here at night, it's kind of the opposite. I'm okay with a slower draw if that means they can't get to it as easily while I'm trying to sleep. Because I don't really sleep on my stomach at all. I sleep on my sides. And the idea is I could sleep on a bench at the airport or whatever on this side and sleep on a bench on that side. Toss and turn if I have to, back and forth over my back, and the gun stays on my chest, out of the way when you're sleeping. And it will probably live here a lot in the wintertime. This is more so just for when you're walking to the commuter train, like the city train, or like the Dallas Love Field or whatever. Walking through train platforms and stuff where I've had issues before, I want to have that at a quicker draw. So then I would have it on the belt, and very, way easier to access than up here in the pocket. That's the idea behind having that, and then it just gives you other options. So that, I would recommend, when you first get a gun, I would recommend to have probably 3 different options of carry, just because it helps you. Because, like, say, this version right here, not so comfortable when I have to sit for long periods of time when I drive, or when I'm on a train or a bus and you have to sit for long periods of time. And the other downside of a train or a bus or anywhere where you're sitting, you're forced to sit closer to someone else that's right here next to you in the double seat of a bus or a train or whatever. And I don't want this on the belt where they could potentially get to it. Again, I want it up here on the chest where I know exactly where it's at, and they literally have to feel me up to get it. I don't want them bumping into it and being like, oh, what's that? And then I have to explain myself, or them try to get it or anything, or I don't want to have to try to look for bus seats that are only on the left-hand side, so that I can put the gun against the wall, because then you're pinning yourself against the wall if you had to go use it. And the other thing about carrying on a bus or a train, mainly for public transport, bus, train, or subway, is most all of those, it's a federal, well, the bus and train, cross-country bus and train, it's a federal offense to carry a firearm on there because of the fact that it goes through different states. And so I don't want any way at all of this remotely being seen or printed or anything on the belt, because again, people are going to be looking, if they're going to be looking for a gun, they'd be looking for it on the belt more than anything. And then I would have the tablet cover holster, and I would carry that while I was on the bus or train or whatever, so that it's up there with me, and then there's no way anybody can see it because it's in a zipped up pocket behind that tablet. So unless they were to go fuel me up, or if it was popos that were searching me or something, it's the only way anybody would ever find out I had it on me. Unless, or that if I had to pull it out, obviously. But end of the day, we have a Second Amendment right to bear arms that overcast everything, including those federal felonies of carrying on board a bus. They just mostly post that so that people who go on there for nefarious reasons won't bring their gun on there, because they know what they're facing. But I would hazard to guess, and I'm not exactly sure, but I would hazard to guess that if somebody like that did do that, and then you went on there and stopped the violence by, ending them or whatever, that you would most likely get off of that because of the amount of witnesses on the bus. As long as the police did their due diligence and got all the witness statements and whatnot, that yeah, this guy did this and this guy came and defended us and blah blah blah, you'd probably get off of it. Because otherwise, their only other option would be everybody gets shot like fish in a barrel on a bus if somebody decided to do something bad on it, which I'm amazed they have not done yet. In Salt Lake City, they have a metal detector, and in Denver, Colorado, they have a metal detector at the bus station. For that reason, things have popped off at the bus station, and then outside the bus station, and they popped off on the bus. And then in Salt Lake City, one dude was leaving on the bus, and then he tried to take the bus by knife or something. The bus driver tried to stab him or something like that, and that's why they come up with the plexiglass separation for the bus drivers nowadays, is because of the guy in Salt Lake City. So bad things do happen. I just wanted to point that out. Another 10-minute video, I'll put it on with the other video. I'll probably have about 40 minutes worth of this video, give or take, all included, and hopefully you guys enjoy my rant. Excited for my class, as you can tell. Like and subscribe, leave comments, I'll catch you in a flip. Peace.